Hello everybody, my name's Pebble, and I posted this Raspy sprite sheet on Twitter a few mornings ago. Not 5 Funny. I always want to say 5 Not Funny, but no. Not 5 Funny wanted me to go through the process of making this. So I decided, sure, I will make a video where I'm going to do pretty much the same thing that I did with this sprite sheet, but instead I will be making Moe's character, and yeah. This will be using a template. Templates look like this. They're just base characters that people make for other creators to go and pretty much draw on top of. Building off of a template is a good way to practice pixel art and get better results than you can with just making it from scratch. I'll link some channels that have helped me grow in pixel art down in the description. And yeah, you can go check them out if you want to see how I've come to actually learn what I know. I'm definitely not the best at pixel art, but I'm gonna go through my process on how I made this Raspy sprite sheet. People have made sprite templates for a ton of different game engines. What I'll be looking at right now is from RPG Maker, but really you can use sprite sheets for pretty much any game, if you're even making it for a game. Sometimes you just want to make these things to post on Twitter, and that's fine too. Looking for templates is pretty easy, and it's likely you'll be able to find one that suits your need. Right now, this is sort of a top-down perspective, but there are some for side view. There are even some that you're supposed to paint over, like an actual painting, like a character pose and stuff, instead of it being an animation like this one. The one I'm using right now is from Hiddeone's Resource Warehouse. I'll link that in the description as well. They have a ton of different pixel art for RPG Maker games, including pixel art templates like this one you see here. A sprite template is a character that is devoid of any defining traits. Something that's really easy to build on top of. Like this, you can just sort of, put some hair over the character. That's really bad, but you probably understand what I'm trying to get at here. So I'm just gonna dive right into it. The first thing I normally do is turn down the opacity on the lower character and add a new layer. This is to help me be able to see that there's a checker pattern on anything that I haven't drawn, and there is a very clear outline to the things that I do draw. Alright, so I tend to outline the head to start. The head is one of the character's most defining traits. It is something that the player tends to look at first when they look at a character on screen. While outlining, expect for it to take a lot of time, just pushing pixels back and forth, and make sure to zoom out every now and then and see if things are looking good. The specific style I'm going for, which I went for on the character portrait sprites as well, is just a thick black outline with any solid color being broken up by this black outline, minus a few things like the eyes and such. And so that's exactly what I'm going to be doing here. As you can see with the Raspy sprite, it pretty much follows the same rule. This isn't something you have to do, by the way. This is just my own style that I'm trying to bring in. If I even do make this into a game, I'm just doing this to be consistent in the same style as that game if I were to make a game. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start outlining Moe's hair. Hair is pretty important, and that's what I try to get to first. As you can see, I have some Moe fan art that I saw on Twitter. This one is from Mayo. Oh yeah, Mayo. I recognize him from my reacting to Outsider applications. Hello Mayo, if you're seeing this, hi. Really great fan art, inspired me to start working on Moe's for this video as well. So that's really cool. And the next bit of fan art, I don't know why everybody likes drawing Moe in a state of being injured in some way. I don't know. Well, I guess he did kind of crawl out of the maze half dead and really bloody, so maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, but this one is from, let's see, Cheeky Fox on Twitter. Of course, I will link both of those in the description below. Go ahead and check them out. Give them a like, because this fan art is really good. I couldn't find like a full standing up drawing of Moe, but this is pretty close. You can kind of see exactly what Moe is wearing, kind of this ragtagged and patched up outfit, vaguely steampunk actually. But yeah, that's fine. So I will be making this into a pixel art character. And speaking of which, actually, I should pull up Moe's, here it is. Oh hey, yeah, Raspy and Moe, it's fitting that I do these two first. I am mostly going to be basing it off of this character, because this is like the official character portrait. Alright, so now I'm gonna start on the hair. For the sake of the video being not 3 hours long, like it's probably going to take me to make this character, I will sort of fast forward through this, but I will try to explain my process every time the fast forwarding stops. So I'm going to prepare to fast forward, and that's probably going to happen throughout the video. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, I'm back. So, I did a little bit of a speed up, and what I basically did was I tried to copy his hairstyle. As you can see in this one, it sort of swoops forward, and it really just sort of comes off the side of his right side. Just looking at the outline makes it a little hard to tell if anything is coming together. So while outlining, it's a good idea to fill with the base color as well. So I'm going to do that right now. Just grab the same color that I did for the portrait. And I might talk a little more about color later, but for now I'm just going to do that. In fact, I'm even going to mark out the eyes. This is not anything final. It's just marking it out so I can get a better picture. And you know, honestly, that's not looking too terrible. It has promise, and so I'm going to see if I can make that into something just a little better. Okay, so this doesn't normally happen, but I'm actually pretty happy with the way that turned out first try. Again, it would probably be way better if I went through and tried maybe a second draft, just see if I could get things looking even better, but I'm actually kind of happy with this for now. I might raise his head up just a little bit, give him maybe more bushiness on the top. It does look a little flat. Good thing to note is that he will have goggles on his head. Really, this part will be taken up by the goggles, and that's okay because his goggles are one of his main defining character traits. I mean, he is Goggle Boy after all, so we would expect no less. Alright, so normally it isn't a good idea to start shading until you've blocked out the entire body. But I find it easier to outline when the character has some shading already, and maybe not the final shading, but just a little bit so I can sort of tell where this is going. If I was making a larger piece of art, it would take a ton more time to actually remove the shading if I wanted to change something, and so that really wouldn't be a good idea. But for these small character sprites, I think it's totally fine to shade at least a little bit, and that works for me. Who knows if I am being smart in that decision, but for now, I guess we'll start with a little bit of shading on the hair and a little bit of shading on the face. When deciding what color to make your character, I would suggest finding a palette online or looking up a tutorial on how to make one. For me, I already have these traced images that I made, and I pretty much hand-picked the color from the poster in the back. So I kind of already have the colors that I'm going to use. I will be using some more color than I use in these posters, so I'll showcase what that is all about. For now, let's just grab maybe the mid-tone. So I'm going to go ahead and cover everything that I think looks like it should be mid-tone. A good rule of thumb is that you can follow the sprite sheet, because as you can see, there are lighter and darker parts to his face, and that's what actually gives this the image of a face to begin with. So for the most part, you can use the template as a guide on what parts to make lighter or darker, but keep in mind where the light is coming from. As you can see, there is a little bit of lightness peeking through his hair here. That would not actually be there because his hair is currently blocking the light from coming down like that. So the template doesn't know what shape you're gonna draw onto it, so it's a good rule of thumb to follow the template, but don't use it as law, because there are parts of him that will cover some of the lighter bits on the template. Alright, I will add another skin tone. The process that I'm going to use is I will be hue shifting the skin tone lighter. Now, hue shifting is when you take the lightness, so if I go up 5 on the lightness, I will also go up 5 on the hue. What this tends to do is just add color into the picture. Really, it just adds a lot more realism and life to the piece. Hue shifting as a general rule, does make things look nicer and more realistic, but like I did with the outfits in Despair Live, it is not always the style you're going for to make things look a little more lively. So just keep that in mind while you're going about your painting. Now, Moe, I believe, has gray eyes, I guess. I kind of always viewed him as somebody who has blue eyes, honestly. But, I mean, hey, that's what the character has on his wanted poster, so really there's nothing else I can do about that. Alright, so his face is coming together a little better. I might actually make this a little less dark. Here, let me see actually. So when you are going darker on the color, you want to hue shift down. If you're going lighter, you want to hue shift up. There we go. That's looking good. I guess now I will start blocking out the goggles, so see you after I'm done doing that. I'm going to add another layer before I start doing these goggles, because I will override some of the hairlines here, and I kind of want to keep those just in case I want to go back to it at some point. So I will make the goggles a separate layer. I would suggest doing this whenever you're about to make some huge change. Alright, I think I have a pretty good shape here, so I'm just going to do the finishing shading on the hair as well as the goggles. Alright, there really wasn't much to do with the shading there. Actually, I should probably add a little ring of a hue shifted blue. Alright, so I ended up not doing that. I just didn't like the way it looked. Now that the head looks okay, I'm going to start marking out where I'm going to have the body. For the body, make sure you keep your references in mind. It's really easy to leave out details that actually define the character, so always go back to your references and make sure you're following what people perceive them as. Other than that, the body follows a similar process as making the head. If something just doesn't look right, keep moving pixels around, though don't stay on something too long. A lot of the times, we can stare at these pixels and keep going and going and going, and it just never look right. What that usually means is you just have to take a step back, maybe go and stretch, do something else for a while, then you come back to it and things just look a little different, and maybe it's easier to do what you wanted to. Alright, we're back, and this time Moe is fully blocked out, which is really nice. From here on, it's just a similar idea of continuing to shade, continuing to add different colors, hue shifting. I always try to keep one solid color to have either 2 to 3 different colors. Too many colors kind of muddies the artwork, makes it look like there's just too much going on, so I tend to try to keep it around 2 to 3. 3 being for bigger parts and 2 being for smaller parts. But it's all up to you and what you think looks better. Again, just a reminder, keep zooming out to make sure things look good. Besides, if you're making this for a video game, people aren't going to be looking at your artwork up close. They'll most likely be experiencing it as it's zoomed out on the screen. So continue to zoom out and view it like a player would. Alright, so making the character is now done, or at least kind of close to being done. From here on out, I will be opening RPG Maker, the game maker that I choose, and I'm going to import this character into RPG Maker and continue to do the animation process from there. I would suggest you do the same if you are making this character for a game, or if you're animating it, I would use a program that can actually animate the pictures you make, because you need to make sure it looks good during the animation. It's far too often that I just sort of blindly go through it, make a ton of stuff, or make the full animation, and then when I get into game, something just looks off or goofy about it. So I have to go in and find exactly what's off, instead of knowing from the get-go, oh yeah, the last change I made to it is what was off. So I would suggest you go into your game maker and import it and start working from there.